Alright, so I'm ready to do the belt buckles on the boots, and I'm looking at Amanda Connor's straps here, and she has a couple different styles and different boots I've seen from different drawings, but I kind of like this one the best. So what it looks like is there's actually a bar going through the middle of the belt buckle, and the strap comes underneath around the bar to the back. So that's kind of what I got to try to copy. So what I have here is I'm going to do the belt buckles on this side first, and then over here, as you can see, I went over to Michael's, or you could go to AC Moore hobby stores, and you could buy these little rings, you know, used for bracelets and necklaces and stuff, and it's great for sculpting stuff. So I'll be utilizing these, and I found the two biggest sizes out of there, so I'll be using these two here. So got some A's as well. It's starting to harden up from previously, so I could kind of roll it out and I could start working out the strap. So let's just get to work. so I got the straps on. Once it all sets up tonight and tomorrow, I could kind of blend this areas out a little bit, kind of sand it down and clean up a little bit, but pretty much to where I wanted it. Hopefully it stays in pretty well with these loops. It should with the Aves. And we did that side as well. So what I did was I cut off this bar and I put in the little pieces for the strap buckle. And once it's all painted, it'll be all golden and everything, so I'm not worried about it being silver. It's just a matter of cleaning it up once it's all hardened. So once that's done, we move on to the gloves. Alright guys, it's the next day. So yesterday I pretty much sanded it down, I primed it up, sanded it down again. Just got it all smoothed out, so I'm liking where the boots are at now. I'm pretty happy with them. They're looking as close as the Mannaconner as possible. And we'll get to this side so you guys can see this one as well. So looking pretty good. Happy with it. So the next step is we'll be working on the gloves. I'm still trying to plan my attack on them because there's a couple different styles and I realized I was a little bit wrong on the initial gloves, the way it's designed. So I might have to do a little bit more sanding on the wrist and then be able to do the gloves, but we'll see. But there we are with the boots. So we'll be back once we start working on the gloves. Alright guys, so I'm going to be moving on to the belt for Power Girl, and I found exactly where I wanted it to be placed. So what I did is I found a little hoop piece here that's perfect scale that I wanted because I don't want this belt being huge, and I want it to look like the Power Girl Amanda Connor. And so what I did is I put a little dab of glue here, a dab of glue there, and I pushed it on and I let it sit. I didn't put any glue on the bottom or the top because if you put glue there and then you sculpt and you get some glue residue in the back, it's going to look all funky. So I wanted to put the glue where I'll put the Aves around it. And I did the inset so it's drying a little bit now. So I got to roll out Aves anyway and mix it all up. I did toy with the idea as I'm working on this to maybe see if I can ask the seamstress I know to make me a cloth belt. But the only problem is if I go the cloth route belt, there's a couple of problems. One, since it gets all bunched up here and bunched up on that side, it would be kind of hard to do cloth because if you do something thick and you wrap it around, it'll be so thick that it wouldn't work too well. And the other problem is, well, how do I wrap it around with this piece already being here? I would have to do like a Velcro in the back of two sides, and I just don't like the way that would work out. So, and I'm also a fan of like sculpted stuff anyway, except for when it comes to like maybe a cape or a belt that would work. But with this, it's not going to work out. So this is where I'm at. I'm going to roll out some A's, start sculpting, doing all the detail work, and then once that's done, I'll move on to the gloves. I figured the boots are pretty much ready to go. We'll do the belt, get that all situated, and then I'll move on to the gloves because I've been studying the gloves a lot, and I'm trying to plan my attack on them because that's going to be the most difficult part on the body. And then once all that's done, the body is done, and then move on to the hair. Alright, so I got the belt where I wanted. I had to do a little bit more detailing off camera so I could get a little bit closer. I wanted that wrinkleness to it. I still got to sand it down and everything tomorrow when I get a chance, but as you can kind of see, the whole goal, there we go. So the whole goal was to kind of shrink it down as it goes around the loop and then it goes out. And of course I added my own little touch to it as well. Looking at the artwork on the screen compared to this, it's very hard to match it because you got to kind of just find that middle ground. So I just wrapped it around. I'm going to have to sand down some of this here a little bit. It was a little too thick, and it's better just to sand it down to actually try and rework it as of now. Back here it's a little messy. What I did is I kept it straight underneath here and straight under there, and it's all messed up here, but what I'll do is I'll sand it down tomorrow, and then I'll kind of seam it up a little bit, give it a little bit of a straight piece going across. Even though this isn't a super tight belt going around her waist, I still want to make sure this back area is kind of flush. Even though the cape's going to cover it, I'm not really going to look at it much, but it's just part of what I want. So there you go. That is the belt now. So once I sand it down and I get it to where I want, I'll sculpt a little notch thing that goes in the center, and then when I paint it, it'll be all gold and everything. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. So let this set, come back tomorrow, and then keep plugging away. Alright, we're in the garage. I just sprayed her down, so there's a lot of fumes to her still, so I usually like to let stuff sit in the garage a little bit. Got to open up the garage door and do some work anyway soon, but you see I sanded it down. We got to work out the back a little bit more, but I like the way it came out. It's working pretty good. So you see that shine on the primer, that actually means that it's still wet. It's going to take a while. But as you notice too, I just wanted to point out, you can see all this red stuff marks around her legs. That's from having residue on my hands and then holding the statue. So whenever you work with Aves and you get it on your fingers, if you're using just the regular natural Aves or the Fix-It, you might not see these marks. And that's kind of like why I like to work with the red stuff a little bit better, is because you get to see what you're doing wrong sometimes. Because you see there's a little piece right here, you could kind of hit with your nail, scrape off or sand down, and just some fingerprint marks. And you just gotta kind of be careful sometimes working with the Aves. But there's the belt. Once it's dried, I'll work out that little notch piece that goes in the center, and then once that's all set, we'll get onto these gloves. I've been really trying to plan out these gloves a little bit more. I got the idea. I might have to do some more sanding too on some areas, like I might have to take the wrinkles out. Not really sure. But that's where we're at. Just come along pretty well. Happy with it, as you can see. And we'll be back with the next video when I start working on the gloves.